Hi, welcome to my Scrappin' Space. I'm Joni Martin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator located in Southwest Wisconsin. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to show you how to make this joyful card from a suite in the January to April mini catalog from Stampin' Up. The suite is called Rain or Shine, and it includes a stamp set and dies, an embossing folder, some embellishments, and a great paper pack. Today, I'm using the paper pack and the dies, but let's take a minute and look at some of the other pieces. So the stamp set is called Playing in the Rain, and it has these great images and a couple sentiments. Rainy days are better with you, and oh, happy day. The dies coordinate with the stamp set. So these three images are stamped and then colored and then cut out with our dies. And then the other pieces in here, and you can cut out the flowers and the clouds, but you can also add a little bridge, a kite, which I'm going to be using today, a stump, an umbrella. So just some great things with the dies. Now let's look at the papers. I think the papers are my favorite part of this suite. There's an overall scene, which we're going to be using. And in a second, I'll talk about how I cut it for the card front. I really like it. One side of these papers has, for lack of a better word, a bit of gloss, and the catalog calls it a UV coating. So each of these have a bit of a shine to them. I'm just going to flip these over so you can see the back. So this has a shine. The turtle especially has a little bit of shine. And if I catch the light right, you probably can see it better. Look at these umbrellas. I'm a big fan of rain and thunderstorms. I know, a little weird. So I love this paper. I'm looking forward to using this one. And this is the thunderstorm paper. You can tell there's a thunderstorm happening, can't you? And these are some of our fun creatures out in the thunderstorm. And then this is more of a light rainstorm. And then on the back, some great fun, really joyful spring prints. I'm thinking tie-dye here. If you look close, these are kind of fun raindrops. And a beautiful flirty flamingo print. A spring print. I think Mother's Day, this would be great. Easter. A flirty flamingo stripe. And a check window pane maybe that we're going to use on our card. This is the piece we're going to use the most of. So let's talk a second about how we cut that piece. On my card front, notice how these pieces have kind of it's called a deco edge. It's not a straight cut. And it's from the deco edge dies. I love these dies. Think about, if you've ever seen really old photographs, they kind of have that edge. And just adds a softer edge than either a straight cut, which you could cut them with your paper cutter if you didn't have the dies, or like our stitched rectangles. So when I went to cut this paper, I knew I wanted to catch the grass and some of the sky. So I took the die I was going to use and laid it where I wanted. I wanted less grass and more sky. So when I did that, I determined that if I cut 3 inches from the top and 3 3/4 from the bottom, I would have a strip here that then I could cut 3 card fronts from. So the pieces that are left over, you have a 3-inch here, and you have a 3 3/4 from the bottom. And that's that print right here. What I did with that was I cut my envelope flap, I cut the strip on the card insert, and I cut just a little bit. I used a die to also cut that. And you can find my numbers, the measurements I use, the supplies I use are on the blog, and I have that linked for you below this video. So now that we've talked about the pieces that I've used, let's assemble a card. In addition to the paper pack I just showed you, I'm using a balmy blue card base and basic white inserts, and this is mango for the card base. Oh, notice something's missing there? If I have a small piece that matches one of my mats, I like to cut it out from the center. You're not even going to notice when we begin to assemble our card. First, we're going to stamp, and then we'll assemble. So I have 2 white mats. One is going on the front and one's going on the inside, and they're both 4 by 5 1/4, so it doesn't matter what I use. I'm making this a birthday card because I need it. I just think it looks like a fun birthday. I'm using my Stamparatus. If you're not familiar with a Stamparatus, it's a placement tool. It helps me stamp correctly each time. So I've marked where my card insert's going to go, and I'm going to use these magnets to hold it in place. By holding it in place with magnets, if I don't get the image I want, like maybe I'm missing a letter when I stamp, I can just stamp again. It's so much easier for me than using a block. Because if I miss a letter, there's no way I'm going to line it up again with a block. So we're going to use a light touch when we're inking up. Then we're going to use some muscle when we stamp our sentiment. Let's see how we did. Okay, I messed it up. Did you see that? I got a little crazy with my ink. And I have a little blotch here. Let's look at how easy that is to fix. That's why paper has two sides. I'm going to take a second to make sure that ink is gone. Using my stamp cleaner. Let's try again. I'm busy talking to you and not paying attention to what I should be doing. So, and just to be sure this time, I'm going to run my thumb up there. Okay, now let's see how I did. Oh, so much better. Okay. Set that aside. Put my ink aside, because if I don't, it's going to land where I don't want it. And we'll do a quick clean and set this aside. All right. Here's our card insert. Says happy birthday. That's lovely, but honestly, I think it looks a little boring. So I grab a scrap of one of the papers I'm using on the front. And remember, this is the background, the piece we didn't use from that card piece. And I'm going to attach it right there with just a touch of green glue. My card insert is 4 inches, and this is slightly longer than that. And the reason for that is that it just helps me hold on to it. If you've watched my videos or my lives, you know that some days I have what we call good hand days and some days not so good. I struggle with arthritis in my hands, and it can get in the way of what I want to do. But by having these little handles here, it's just for me easier. We're going to give that a second to notice. We're not going to notice our mistake back there. That'll be covered up. We're going to give this a second to set up. And while we're gluing, let's do our envelope flap. Because I'm not sending this cute card in a naked, boring envelope. So I'm going to fold my envelope flap back. I have another piece I've cut 2 1/4 by 6. But again, all measurements are on my blog. And I'm going to glue just around the outside. I don't need a lot of glue, but I want to catch all the outside pieces. And then I'm putting the envelope straight up so that it acts as kind of a wall as I push against there. And we're going to let that have a second to set up. This is ready to go. And now I'm just going to use my card as a way, my guide here, so I know where to snip. Okay, so we have our insert done. Here's our card base. I'm going to start straight, so I'm more likely to get it straight, and fold. And to get a nice fold, I'm going to use my bone folder. There we go. And this is now ready to go inside. I'm just going to grab our tape runner. Whatever adhesive you're most comfortable with is the best adhesive for you to use. And that's going to go here. Doesn't that bit of color just kind of add a little life to that card insert? All right, now remember, we're going to assemble. So we've cut the card front from that pretty paper, and this is our mat, and this is going here, and that will cover up the kite that I cut out of there. And that's going to go like this. And when I started to build my card the first time, I went to do this and felt like, at least for me, there's almost like too much contrast, like it wasn't coming together. So I grabbed another white. And when I did that, look how that kind of just pulled everything together. So we're going to add that extra layer, like so. I love these deco rectangles. I just think they just add a touch more interest to what you're doing. Okay. And that can go on our card front. It's just such a cheerful scene. And if you didn't want a bunny, if you were making a card for somebody who wouldn't appreciate it, you know, a little character, You could, at this point, just add a birthday greeting to this, like thinking of you on this fine day or something, and you'd be good. Or by itself, it'd make a great note card. But let's talk about our bunny. So I die cut the bunny using those dies. I die cut my kite. And let's call this the kite insert. It just kind of adds a touch more interest than just a blank kite. So we're first going to glue this here. And it doesn't take a lot, and it's pretty small. You could use glue dots. I'm going to use a touch of all-purpose glue. Like so. And that gets lined up there. And the green glue lets me kind of move it around till I have it where I want. Then I learned the hard way that it's easier to attach the kite to the back of the bunny before you attach it to your card. So I'm grabbing just a touch of tear and tape, but you want to make sure you're attaching it to the correct side though. So the kite's going to go there. You could use a glue dot or whatever you want. So it's just going to kind of go like this. And just a touch of tear and tape or whatever else is going to hold it in place for you. And then I wanted my bunny almost to be coming off my page, so I used dimensionals. And if you aren't familiar with dimensionals, think like foam that's sticky on both sides. And we're going to peel them off and just kind of stick them wherever we want. On here, you don't need a lot. One can go there. We're going to throw one on our kite. We'll put one down here and maybe one more right there. That's going to be plenty. And then I'm going to peel the back of them off of there, and I'm just going to grab my snips because my take your pick tool has disappeared. Does that ever happen to you when you go to reach a tool on your crafting table? Yeah, all the time. There we go. And as I look at this, I think I'm going to stick one more right there, like so. And here's our little bunny, and these are now going to stick to here. So I'm going to have him kind of dancing in the air. Look at that. Isn't that fun? And there's actually, when you look at the paper pack, there's actually 3 little different bunnies you can cut out. This one wearing what I'm thinking almost like a Hawaiian shirt. Let's call it a spring shirt. A little Flirty Flamingo shirt, and this more of a blue and white. So you have some options. Let's go back to our envelope. And we're just going to trim. I'm making this a birthday card, but you could make it anything. And it's just such a fun, joyful card. And sometimes they're the great kind of cards to send. Maybe someone needs a little joy. So there is a birthday card made from the Rain or Shine Suite. Thanks so much for watching my video. If you liked what you saw, I'd really appreciate you clicking the like. If you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please hit subscribe. And if you have a paper crafting friend who you think might also enjoy my videos, please let them know about me. Until next time, take care, stay well, and keep creating. It's good for you.